We are CEOs, executives, educators, and professionals from all sectors of society who support the global expansion of betterment in the world through joy and joyely. I'm your host, Sheryl Lynn, founder of the Chair of Joy Experience. Together, we have developed the World Council of Joy, and our council invites CEOs and innovators from impactful organizations to the JOYELY podcast. We showcase how generous, bold, and fully engaged they are in their work and what a culture of joy is to them. Hello, I am Sheryl Lynn, and I am back to you again with another episode of JOYELY, Living Through Expansion. And on our show today, we have Michael Alexander. Oh, I didn't ask you how to pronounce your last name. Beas. Beas? Is that right?
Bees like the bug. Let's just go with that.
All right, bees like the bug. Michael Alexander Beas is a social entrepreneur, literary consultant, world-renowned music journalist, and socialite. He has a magazine called Raver Mag, and we are pleased to have you on our show today. Michael, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you today?
I'm well. Where in the world are you?
I am in, well, I'm going to say I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, but in reality, I am in a town called Fort Mill, South Carolina, which is probably about 5 to 10 minutes from Charlotte. So let's just go with Charlotte, North Carolina, because that's what everybody knows, and that's where I'm from.
And so how far from the beach are you? I have to know. I'm a beach girl.
Oh, gosh, you wouldn't like it here. But it's only 3.5 hours. So if you can walk 3.5 hours to get to Myrtle Beach, you're going to be great. But
now, you know, I walked across America, so that walk would be easy.
Oh, no, yeah, it'd be a life-changing journey for you. That's for sure.
All right. So I'm super excited to talk to you because we met on the C-Suite organization, right? Jeffrey Hazlett is the CEO, chairman, and founder of that organization. And like you, I've met a ton of successful people and having a great time. So the JOYELY process, for all of those of you that are listening, usually C-Suite folks and entrepreneurs, business owners, people who are trying to understand what living joyily means and how it impacts and affects everything it is that we do. So thank you for listening and welcome once again. So Michael, tell us in just a brief couple of sentences what it is that you what you did to get to where you are in life. I know you're a very successful entrepreneur and business owner, and so tell me a couple of the steps along the way to get you here.
Geez, that's, I mean, how much time do we have? But, well, yeah, I mean, the two things that I do is, I started a magazine about 7 years ago called Raver magazine. And it was focused on, electronic dance music, or it is focused on electronic dance music. In the beginning, it was a nightmare to interview people, to get in, with people and get into the nightclubs and get into the events and festivals because nobody really knew who we were, right? It was just a magazine that I came up with at a restaurant. And I thought, I wanted to do something with my life. I had retired from a big, insurance company called Liberty Mutual, and I got really burnt out. I was working 6 days a week, 18-hour days, traveling up the East Coast. And I was like, you know what, I need to take some time off. And during that time, that's when I thought, I really love music and I really love to write. I can't play a musical instrument at all. So I thought, let me do something in the middle, which was, why not do a magazine for music? So here in Charlotte, I tried to interview, artists and musicians. And, they're like, who is this crazy person trying to interview us? And no, you cannot get in. So I ended up partnering with another publication that was really big. And I told them, I said, hey, I would love to do interviews for you. You don't have to pay me anything. But in the process, I'd like to also ask the musicians some questions for my magazine. And they laughed and they said, okay, whatever, sure, go ahead. Well, I ended up interviewing 2 German musicians. And during that interview, I really asked like a question that hit home to one of them. And long story short, the video went viral. And it was at that moment, after trying for an entire year to get into places, that the magazine kind of took off. Everybody started following it. The magazine crashed. The website crashed.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I was like, I got to get this off of Wix and move it over to WordPress really fast. And then it just kind of grew from there. I was able to get, to interview more people and really understand where people were coming from and ask questions, not just, hey, tell me about your new music, which is important, but really understanding who they are as a person. And I think that's what resonates a lot with people that follow the magazine and just people who love electronic dance music.
Well, I
So
can just say, just knowing you and getting a grasp for how you work with individuals. I know you asked me to answer some questions for your website, and you just have this essence about you that says, I don't know if it's intuitive or if you just do a ton of research, but you're able to kind of just tap into the realness of it all. And so I, for one, appreciate that. And I know your magazine is highly successful for that very reason. You know how to ask the questions that makes sense and kind of hit a nerve with people that want to hear. So good job on that. And then the other thing you do is the CEO of Altas Elite Publishing Partners. So tell me a little bit about what you do for authors.
So part of that whole thing was I wrote a book myself, and it didn't sell anything. And I guess the Cliff Note version of that, if you could, not dating myself, but Cliff Notes were a thing back then, is, I couldn't sell the book. I didn't know how to sell the book. It was like everybody was so busy on upcharging you for publishing the book. Nobody was focused on actually selling a book, right? So I thought, I have a marketing degree, and I was like, I could figure this out. So I created a program, or an algorithm, so to speak, where I really break down an author's book to help them sell. And I do it through keywords, through genres, through HTML coding on their book description. And then I blast it out to our email network of about 10 million people. And we guarantee that your book will become a #1 best-selling book on Amazon. And, not a lot of people could do that. Not a lot of companies out there will guarantee something like that. And it took a while, took a few years, but now we work with 95 authors, of which 15 of them are New York Times bestselling authors, 10 of them are USA Today bestselling authors, and we just promote their books month after another. So it's one of those things where it's really, how do you divide yourself into two hats? How do you go from, creating a magazine for music and one day, and then the next day focus on publishing, promoting, and formatting books? But it's something that I enjoy doing. It all comes back down to the writing, right? And I feel that words could really help people express themselves.
So what I hear, and I hate to always revert it back to living joyily, but that's really the process that we're talking about. And so what I hear from you when you say that is you figured it out, right? You figured the secret, if you will, to knowing deeply inside what gives you joy. And when you focus on that, therein lies your living the life of a successful human being. So I don't know if you know Dr. David Hawkins' work, but joy is the highest calibrated emotion on the planet. And so the more time and energy you spend in there, the more production, right? Would you say outcome? Tell me a little bit about that, how that works for you.
Well, it was ironically, because we met through the C-Suite network, and, I saw you and I saw kind of what you were doing, but I didn't understand it. So when I talked to you, and you really helped me focus back on what brings joy to me in my life, right? And, I think that gets lost a lot through the things that go on in life, children, work, the things you have to do, but not want to do sometimes, and having a place, where you could focus on all that energy and, realize what's important to you is really what, I struggle with personally. And, having a place, like this to go to is really a remarkable thing.
I'm going to use your words, the Cliff Note version, because you and I did the Chair of Joy process. So if people are wondering why the Chair of Joy is behind me, I've actually carried it out to about 35 cities, and over 1,000 people have sat in it now. And the process and the transformation from people is real, and it's exciting, and we're worthy of repeating. So you sat in the Chair of Joy. So real quick, where was your Chair of Joy, or where is it now? If it's a new place, it's ever changing. So if you could find a place just away from your computer, where would you sit for a full stop?
Finally, a better way to hold your phone. Introducing Steady Straps. Made here in the USA, Steady Straps are high-quality, flexible straps that adjust to hold virtually any phone comfortably and securely. Steady Straps are washable and come in a wide range of colors and styles. See them all at SteadyStraps.com. Because they're so visible, they're the perfect promotional item to advertise your company message or logo. Learn more at SteadyStraps.com. That's SteadyStraps.com.
For a full stop would have to be in my backyard. we have an amazing view of like the woods, which, you know, coming from Miami, you don't really get that. So, you know, it always fascinates me to sit there and just relax, which I haven't been able to do in the last 2 weeks. It's been pouring down rain here in Charlotte, but that is kind of like my go-to place when I just need to like unwind.
They make these things called umbrellas.
We could do that. There was lightning though, so I don't know.
All right, so your chair in the
Beautiful day
backyard.
today, so.
Yes. So your chair in the backyard. So just think of that as, so everybody who's listening, find your own chair of joy. Like, where is it in your home or your city, or is it a park bench? Is it at the lake? Where is it? And so you're sitting in your chair of joy. You told me that you see the woods. Just imagine what you're hearing. Your feet are on the ground. And this is the process I told you about. You're just getting settled. You're getting centered. And then the next thing, we'll do it again just for everybody who's listening. Take a deep breath in, an ocean breath in. Ocean breath out. This isn't in a huge meditation, quiet your mind, close your eyes kind of thing. This is just a fun meditation and a practice to get us centered and raise the vibration of joy so we can go do more and get achieve more of what it is that we're after in life. But what was the first memory of joy that came to your mind just then? Something, it could have been this morning or a year ago or when you were a little guy, that your life was just working out for you. What came to mind first?
Well, the first thing that came to mind, again, which is the same thing, is, you know, my children when they were being born. You know, that's always a remarkable thing. So, you know,
Perfect.
that's the first thing that came to my mind.
That's perfect. That's people do that a lot. So let's do one more. Let's go to another place and another time when things were just really clicking for you. Do you land on one?
Yep, I got one.
What is it?
It would have to be when I got married. That was, well, actually not like the moment of the marriage, but kind of like, you know, seeing her for the first time. That was a pretty remarkable, a 360 circle that, you know, brought it all back together for me. So that was definitely a remarkable time.
The day of the wedding, or when you first met her, or the very first day?
No, when the day of the wedding, the actual wedding. Like, yeah, we did. I didn't know that this was like a thing, but apparently, first look is a thing. I didn't know what it was. She had a, you know, I'm probably gonna get hated on for this, but I didn't know. I actually Googled what it was. I didn't know. I didn't want to sound stupid either by asking. So, but you know, when I first saw her in her wedding dress coming, I didn't. You know, it was a fun moment. Let's just say that. And, you know, seeing her for the first time in her dress after, you know, all the excitement and build up is definitely one of those joyful moments that I probably will never forget.
Cool. So just let the kids resonate from think about them, let that kind of resonate from your head to your toe, and just feel that in your limbs. And then also seeing your wife for the first time, what she was wearing, who was around, you know, just the ambiance of the whole day. Mm-hmm. And what would you say the one word to connect those two memories would be?
Well, obviously joy, but that sounds too cliche, right?
No, it's perfect.
I would say peace.
Okay, peace, which is an elevated emotion. According to Dr. David Hawkins, it's love, gratitude, and then joy. And then beyond joy is peace. But peace is a sort of a thing that we're after, right? As well as enlightenment. But so cool. So if you could put peace in some kind of container, let's see if we can think outside the box and maybe do something a little different than last time, because every time we do this, it's either enlarged or it's more unique. So what's the kind of container that comes to mind that you could put this immense amount of joy that you have inside?
I would say a jar, like a clear jar, you know, like the type that you have in like Charleston where you have put the love bugs in there and they all light up, you know, like a clear jar.
That feels very energetic. I love that. So if we were on a plane today and we were let's go to South Africa for, I don't know, see the giraffes. Let's go hang out. And we're getting off the plane there, and you have this jar, this lightning jar of joy in your hand. And there's a couple thousand CEOs and friends and locals there that don't get this jar thing. What would you say about joy to them? What are they missing?
I think that, I don't know what they would be missing, but I would definitely say that they would have to kind of just refocus on what's important, like what's really important, not necessarily the money or the hype or the power, but what's important to them. Like what will you have left over after all that's gone, you know?
This is a little off the subject, but how is it you learned that? I remember you telling me a fascinating story, but maybe you could just give us the short version of yeah.
Well, that's a good question. Well, without getting into all the details, you know, I've been very wealthy and I've been very poor, and, you know, I've had it all and I've lost it all more than once. And I find that, you know, obviously having money and being successful is a great thing. It solves a lot of problems. People say, oh, having money doesn't solve problems. No, it does. So you don't have to worry. If you don't have to worry about how you're going to pay your bills, it's a huge stress relief. But I learned that I wasn't happy when I had it all, right? I was missing something. I was always chasing something, right? So for me, getting centered on what's important, which is family to me, and friends, true friends, not just everybody calls everybody a friend nowadays, but true friends that you could count on. And you really don't know who those people are until you lose it all, right? So I've been fortunate to sort of get my life back and come full circle. And that's why remembering like the birth of my children, or remembering like the moment that I saw my wife, is like really powerful. So
beautiful. Thank you for sharing that again. I just think that that's a story that people need to hear over and over and over again, because it's so powerful, because it is the thing that keeps us from our joy, is the ability to want to accomplish everything and achieve everything. And I think just sitting still and knowing everything is inside of us that we've already ever could possibly want, right? And to just take some time and to call into those memories. Thank you for doing that. So you did it perfect. And the idea is to get to that full stop in your chair of joy at least 3 times a day. So I know if it's not raining, just take your little self and get out there and have a seat. And it's miraculous what happens when you start raising the vibration of joy. It's a scientific process. It's nothing new. It's just a new and fun way to call in memories of joy. Like, who stops and takes the time to really go deep on that? And maybe think of a connecting word like you did, which was peace, putting peace in a jar. And then the last thing is, if you could give this jar away to somebody today, who would you give it to and why?
God, if I could give the jar to somebody, I would probably give it away to my neighbor, Chuck. That's who I would give it away to. I don't know why, but his name just popped in my head. And he lives 3 doors down. He's an amazing person. And, I feel like he would really take advantage of it.
Which is really important. That's the last part of what we teach, is accessibility of joy, sustaining joy, and then activating joy, which is to give it away to others as much as you can. It sounds like Chuck would be an amazing person to have on our podcast as well. So that's cool. Sure. So biggest takeaway from the Chair of Joy experience and just our conversation so far today?
My biggest takeaway is to find time to refocus and center yourself on what's important. And, we're always focusing on all the problems. We need to start focusing on what makes us happy internally. And when you do that, everything else, I think, will resonate from it. And I think that's what I got from this.
Awesome. And how do people work with you, Michael? How do people work with you? And what would be like a next best step?
Well, if you're a musician, definitely, reach out to us via ravermag.com. We're happy to, work on interviews and work with you and help you promote your music. If you are an author who is not selling, which most people have issues with that, definitely hit us up at atlaselitepublishingpartners.com, or just email me at Michael Beas, BEAS, at iCloud.com. That's my direct email. And we'll definitely help you out.
And your LinkedIn is Michael. I had to find you a couple of times, but it's Michael Alexander Beas, right? BEAS.
Yeah, correct. Michael Alexander Beas. And my Instagram is Beas, BEAS, and Michael, MICHAEL. So you could definitely track me down and find me. That's for sure.
Very cool. And I'm excited to hopefully talk with Michael about producing a magazine. I have had a magazine in the past. It was probably, 16 or 17 years ago now. But it was really successful and so much fun. And I've always had it in the back of my mind to have another magazine. So stay tuned, everybody. The JOYELY magazine is on its way.
Absolutely, for sure.
Well, thank you for being with us today, Michael. And I couldn't be more pleased to call you a friend and have you in our circle of living joyily.
Well, thank you so much again for having me. I appreciate you.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.